video is going to talk about how to improve ankle mobility. Now, the first thing we need to consider is what's actually causing the lack of mobility. So, for example, with the ankle or with joints in general, you can have two things that generally cause a lack of range of mobility. The first one is that there can be stiffness or tightness in the muscles that operate that joint. So, for example, with the ankle, your ability to point and lift your toes or lift your foot is controlled by a muscle at the front called the tibialis anterior, and your two calf muscles at the back, your gastrocnemius and your soleus. Yeah. So if we take, first thing we need to do is identify what's actually causing that. Now the way that you do that is when you're taking your ankle into the full range of motion. So if we lean down here, for example, or if I go here and I push my heel down with the heel raised, do you feel stiffness at the calf, or do you feel a blockage at the front of your ankle across here where your shin bone joins onto your foot? That's the first thing to identify, because if you feel a blockage, there's a chance that all the tissue in at the front of the ankle needs to be mobilized so that you can then take that into a further range. If you feel tightness in the hip, if you feel tightness in the calf muscles, then it's an indication that one of the muscles in the calf, or both of the muscles in the calf, need to be stretched out. So if we look at the stiffness part first in the calves, a good way that you can do that is by stepping onto a step. Now you can use a step in your house, on your stairs and stuff like that, or if you live in a bungalow or a flat, just a step or a box. So what we want to do is stand on here, step up like that, take one foot off, so it's a 2 up, 1 down technique, lower down till you feel that nice big stretch, and then push the weight of your heel down so you're stretching that calf. And then repeat that for somewhere around 8 to 10 reps, and you can do it for 3 or 4 sets. And then what you should feel is, as you go through that, you should get a greater range of motion. You should be able to push your heel down, get a bigger stretch in the calf each time. That will predominantly work the gastrocnemius, which is the main calf muscle, the bulky one that you can see. The one that's underneath that's called the soleus, and that generally is better stretched bent. So what you can do for that is if you bend your knee like that and push the weight down, and then raise up and do the same thing, but you're doing the lowering part and the pause part at the bottom with a bent knee, and that will predominantly stretch the soleus. What I'll do now is I'll take you over and I'll show you how to manipulate the joint with regards to blockages at the front of it, so you can get more range that way. With regards to a blocking sensation or tightness at the front of the ankle, so the calf isn't tight, but you feel blocking at the front of your ankle when you try to take your foot into dorsiflexion, which is reducing the angle here. What we can do with this is, you just basically use your own weight initially and use to manipulate the front of that joint so that you can get a bigger range of movement. So what to do is lift the foot onto something, box or something of that nature. From there, what we want to do is use your weight, and we want to keep the foot in its natural position. So you don't want to let that heel lift, or you don't want your foot to cave in that way. Keep the knees tracking out over the toes, and you want to push forward. And if you have a block that's stopping you getting into that further range, then that will generally feel uncomfortable or restricted at the front of the ankle there, right across the joint where your foot and your shin bone meet. What you want to do is push your way into that. Now mine is pretty good, so I don't actually feel anything there, but if it's generally blocked, it'll feel like uncomfortable, and it'll feel like if you push it further, it'll start to hurt. So what you want to do is push your weight forward and then rock back, push your weight forward and rock back like that. Again, doing it for like 8 to 10 reps, 3 or 4 sets each side. What you can do is, if you want to make that harder, you can just add a little bit of weight. So hold a plate, put a kettlebell on it, something of that nature. If you've not got that, you can put your dog on your knee if you want. From there, push the weight forward, and then that little bit extra weight will just help push that shin a little bit further over the toes, so that you get that, begin to manipulate that blocking sensation. If yours is quite stiff, like when I've had an ankle injury previously, when I first started rehabbing it, I had that issue. What you can do is you can manipulate the front of the joint to allow it to move a bit more freely by pressing your fingers down across the front of the joint. So I'm going like this with my finger, wrapping it right across the groove there where the bones meet, and then doing the same thing. And that feels like it's moving even more freely than it was before. And then if we do this, combined with the stretching of the calf, that will increase your ankle mobility. And if you have any more questions about that kind of stuff, you can come and see me in the gym when you're in training.